This is the Crooked River in Oregon. We're taking out at Crooked River Ranch. The trail's behind these yurts, but they've asked us to stage in this red gravel parking lot here. We're putting in where Lone Pine Road crosses the river. After about 30 minutes of flat water, you'll come to the initiation rapids. This is about 3,200 CFS. The first time I saw it this high, it felt pretty intense. It's pushy, it's hard to see over the waves. It goes on for quite a while. This whole sequence was about 10 minutes long before I edited it. The first two-thirds, though, is mostly just waves. It seems like there could be something big waiting behind the waves, but generally there isn't. Generally it's just waves. The last bit has more going on. It's still read and run, but there's some moves you want to make in there. Like coming up right here, there's a hole you can see from above. It looks like you're going to want to get left of it, but it's hard to see until you're already there that you want to cut back right after that hole because there's another one below it. It's not a hard move to make in a kayak. In a raft, it could be more of a scramble. Here's some footage of initiation at about 2,000 CFS. This is the last couple pieces of it. The features are more defined at this level. The holes look more like holes. There are more rocks out. And yeah, you're just kind of picking your lines, dodging the features. It's all pretty easy to read and run. And once you come out of initiation, you've got a whole lot of flat water to look forward to. But it's really pretty flat water because you're going right through Smith Rock State Park. At the end of the flat water, there's an obvious horizon line. That's number 1. You're getting behind this rock here, left to right, to get around the huge hole in the middle. This is 3,200 CFS. If you hit this entry wave too high, you can get spun out. I've done it a couple times, and I've always gotten far enough right anyway. It wasn't that big a deal. Once I'm clear of the first hole on the left there, I'm waiting until I see this rock with water fanning off of it. I aim just left of the rock right there. Pretty short rapid, that's all there is to it. As the water gets lower, the line stays pretty much the same. You can see over the waves better. You don't have to paddle quite as hard, but you're going the same place. This is 2,000 CFS. This hump right here becomes a boof as the water drops, but same spot, and you're just looking for that same rock. It's out of the water now and going just left of it. Rafts can struggle with the left to right move at the top of this rapid. I've seen them have success running the whole thing down the left-hand bank there, like left of both holes. Just watch out. There's a rock right below the hole there up against the bank that you don't want to hit. 1,600 CFS, basically the exact same line. I ran it once at 1150, and I actually went left right after the first hole. This part down at the bottom looked junky, but there was all the time in the world to get left of the second hole. After you get through number 1, there's another long section of flat water. Then you'll go under this bridge, and a little ways after the bridge, you'll see the water picking up speed, making a bend to the left. That is number 2. I like to hit this entry feature right about here. You see the island just to the right of it. As the water gets lower, you can see more of that stuff sticking up, so it makes for something easier to key off of, but that's where I try to hit it. And then the next move is going to be a drive to the left, but you got to wait until you're clear of this hole right here. You don't want to end up in that hole. So I wait till I clear that hole, drive left, and then there's a boof near the wall here. I get flipped over this time. I kind of came off it all cockeyed, and the wave at the bottom flipped me over. But it's flushy, and there's a pool after it, so it's not a bad place to be upside down. Here it is, same thing, 2,000 CFS, same entry move. And just waiting it out, coming up on the hole. There it is right there, and then just driving left and going for the boof. It's a pretty big hit no matter what, this boof. I get stern squirted here. I think the guy behind me gets popped up too. Yeah. There's a right line that is supposedly easier than the left line. I'd never been down it before. I went over to check it out, and I just kind of bumped and scraped my way down it. I didn't really know where to go. I just kind of went over there. It looks like there's a much better channel, like much farther right than where I went. Like I kind of came in in the same place and then tried to cut over to the right, but I think it would have been better to enter on the far right. Um, but I don't know much more about that line because this is the only time I've run it. Between number 2 and Wap De Doodle, there are a couple of smaller rapids called the Humps. This is 3,200. Um, it's kind of chaotic at this level. It's just a bunch of waves, and I feel like I've gone several different places, and it's worked out fine. This is just a little downstream, next rapid. Um, yeah, it's big, crashing waves, but there's a lot of options. Let's take a look at some lower water. This is 2,000 CFS. This rapid here, I come in the middle, but then I drive pretty hard to the right. There's a big hole down there that you can't quite see until you're getting close to it. Right there, I kind of hit the corner of it there, but I usually try to get right of that. Um, and then there's another rapid just below it, and that one I just run down the right bank the whole way. There's some big wide holes out in the middle, and I just run it down the right bank. Works out pretty well. Once you get through this last hump rapid, you're coming up on Wap De Doodle. It's right after this on a bend to the left. You can scout it from the left bank, or you can just go right into it. Wap De Doodle is pretty straightforward at higher water. We're just trying to stay in the middle of the main channel, so I'm driving left just a little bit here because it's trying to push to the outside of the bend. Then when the water starts coming in from the right and pushing back left, I turn right to counteract that a little bit. If you want the easier line, you just drive hard right. But you can hit this hump in the middle down here. It's a really fun move. It looks like a giant pour over from up above, but there's actually no hole behind it, so it's really fun. I like hitting that thing. You kind of have to decide though if you want to hit it or not before you get a good look at it coming into it. This is 2,000 CFS, basically the same line. I've run this line down to about 1,800. I actually didn't hit the hump at 1,800, but my friend Grant did, and he said it was great. This is 1,600. You probably could run the same line, but there's some shallow rocks starting to make some stiff waves. The hump at the bottom is looking a little more exposed, and there's a couple of rocks right below it that are sticking out of the water, so it just looks less appealing to me. I started on the far left, and then I just drove in behind that first hole there. I drove pretty hard right and just rode it out the rest of the way down the right-hand side. Some of these waves hit pretty hard. This one right here, I think, really kind of smashed me. Yeah, there it is. But yeah, it was a nice line. It worked out just fine. I came out here once at 1150, and I kind of ran a similar line. I didn't get any footage of my run, but there's the rapid. I cut in behind that hole at the top, and then once I got right at that level, it was pretty chill, just staying on the right. After Wap De Doodle, you go under these bridges and into a really pretty Basalt Canyon. There's a bunch of rapids in there, a little bit like the ones towards the beginning of the trip. They're pretty easy to start out with. Towards the middle, they get a little bit harder. This is 3,200 CFS again. At this level, there are some holes to watch out for. This last one here has gotten me before. It kind of feels like the rapid's pretty much over, and then all of a sudden you're floating into this thing. I got surfed in there once. I've seen it happen to other people. This is 2,000 CFS again. There are some moves to make in here. Nothing too hard, but some stuff that keeps you busy, picking your way through it. It's pretty fun. Eventually you'll see a house on River Right. I tried to get a shot of it. It didn't come out at all in the shot, but it's pretty obvious with the naked eye. It's on top of that cliff there. And it's the only house on River Right. There's a bunch of houses on the left, but that's the only one on the right. And No Name Rapid is right under that house. My friend Matt pointed that out to me. As you're coming through this little wavy rapid here, the house will kind of disappear over the top of the cliff, and you're getting really close to No Name. No Name can sneak up on you. I actually paddled into it one time without knowing where I was. That was kind of funny. If you want to scout No Name, the eddy is on River Right coming up here. It's probably the most complex rapid on this section. At most water levels, there's just the most going on. The eddy is just on the right here. That's the eddy right there. The first thing I'm looking for in this rapid is there's a rock right in the middle of the river. And there's an entrance hole behind that rock. If you cut in behind the rock, you kind of hit the soft spot. Don't cut in too hard. I've gotten swirled around a few times in that eddy, and it was a pretty disconcerting way to start the rapid. But next thing I'm doing is just getting ready for the crux move. Here's some paddlers coming into it right now. There's a nice long highway. You're just trying to get to the right spot in that highway to drive behind this rock coming up right here. You want to catch some of the slack water behind the rock and get pretty close to the left bank eventually. There's a giant hole in the middle, and you're trying to get left of it. You don't have to get quite that far left. This next paddler is probably about as far right as you want to be. Here's the POV shot of the same move. I'm coming down the channel, waiting, just getting the right place to make my move. There's the rock, driving behind it, catching some of that slack water. Sometimes they take off the gas just a little so to go into this hole right here. And then I usually don't get that far left that easily, but the eddy spin worked out great because you want to drive right after the hole anyway, back to the center of the river. There's some real big stuff on the left, and if you get too far to the right, there's some shallow rocks over there. It's kind of annoying. We'll take a look at it at 2000 CFS. It's all the same moves. This is that entry move. I'm getting ready to move behind that rock there, lining up for the soft spot between the two holes here. And then just coming down the highway, waiting for the right moment to start driving behind that rock. You can see it there. Cutting behind the rock, still catching a piece of that slack water, but at 2000, you have to be a little more patient so you don't run up on these rocks and holes on the side here. It's still a drive to get over there, but you're waiting for the right time. Then, once again, making the move back towards the center of the river. There are a few more rapids after No Name. Nothing too hard. It's pretty straightforward read and run. And then you'll get into a long flat pool and you'll see the road grade that you're going to have to hike out on coming down on river left. There's a horizon line at the very end. That's China Dam. Most people walk takeout above China Dam, but you can run it if you want to. This is 3270. I haven't run it this high, but Kyle and Aaron made it look so smooth that I don't know, maybe I should. Here it is at 2000 CFS. I enter right up against the right bank, and I wait till I'm clear of that hole right there. I drive left as much as I can. You can't get very far left, and I just ride it out straight through the big hits. There's a hole near the bottom. It's still coming up. Right after this wave here, there's a real big hit. I've heard about people getting surfed in there at higher water. Just be aware of it. The left side of it seems like a pretty good place to hit it. Another move I like is to just clip the corner of that entry hole to help get farther left, right here. Then sometimes you can get over and boof that flake right there. And that's a really nice way to run the rapid. You have to be kind of precise with how you hit that entry hole, so I kind of go back and forth on whether I like messing around with that or just running it direct. But this is China Dam at 1150. I ran the entrance in the exact same spot, but then I snuck a lot farther left. You could probably run the same line as at 2 grand, but it looked a little shallow under those drops on the right side there. This rapid's kind of a big, ugly jumble of rocks. It's not the best rapid on the run, but it's probably the ugliest. Maybe some pin spots, definitely a bad place to be upside down. The hike out is on river left. John's GPS says it's 0.64 miles. And that's the Crooked River.